On this episode of PlayPS5, the podcast, we discuss the newest additions to the launch titles arriving on November 12th along with the PS5. We take an in-depth look at the newest launch title, the Pathless, as well as Sackboy, and finally, we discuss the implications for Sony and the PS5 now that Xbox has officially acquired Bethesda. That and more on episode 8 of PlayPS5, the podcast. We're almost there, folks. The day that you have been waiting for. Only 29 days left for the big day. Halloween, that is. That's what you wanted, right? Alex, why did the vampire order a subscription service to the New York Times? Shut up, fool. I don't even care. Because you want to know why? Because he heard it had great circulation. Boom! Do you get the joke? Because New York Times is hot garbage. Everyone knows that they suck. They don't have anything for circulation. But you know what isn't hot garbage, Alex? Play PS5 and the latest PS5 news. And that is what we're talking about tonight, baby. How you doing, Alex?
I'm doing all right, Adam. How's your circulation?
Dude, my circulation is real good. And I'm just so pumped that we have the hottest podcast this side of your auntie's sofa. And I'm ready to talk about gamer juice and launch titles, baby. We're only 29 days to Halloween, but a little over a month away from the big boy.
Yeah, how many days is it? Have we done the math yet?
No, it's November 12th. It's the second now. 29 plus 12. 41 days.
Well, it's it's November 12th, so 10 days on top of the 29. 39 days.
What the F are you talking about?
29
days to October 31st.
29 days plus 10 more, then it's the 12th.
No, it's...
Oh, I see. We're just 29 days until Halloween.
Okay, so we are going to continue with our gamer juice. I was pretty happy. I went to a local orchard and I got organic blackberry cider. So
that looks good.
It is very good.
It's because it looks like black coffee.
Oh, it's not. It came in a nice growler, so I have pretty much drank all of it.
You really pounded away at it. Did you get that last night?
No, I got it last week. We didn't do a podcast last weekend. That's why I bought it. And
just save it all week.
To be honest, it's actually not quite as good as I was hoping. It's a little bland, I feel like. But overall, I mean, it's all right. What are you drinking?
I had my typical soda water because, a little behind-the-scenes information. After this, I got to start playing Star Wars on the PSVR, so I got to get myself hyped up with caffeinated soda water. But I'm double-fisting tonight, baby. Hold on.
Oh, that's a big fist.
Almond Breeze, chocolate soy milk. I got to get something different for the pie. This is gamer juice. It's like dad gamer juice, old person gamer juice.
Yeah, it is. Want me to give you a prostate exam? It's probably lumpy.
If that's what it takes, Adam, yes, let's do it. It is lumpy.
That's disgusting. Okay, while he sips on his old man juice, I love new news. And more than news, I love new games. And the launch titles are filling out for what we are able to purchase at launch for the PS5. Alex, I'm not exactly sure the best way to do this, but here's how I'm going to do it without asking you. We're going to go through, there's 11 launch titles, I believe. I'm going to mention them, and you tell me, I mean, we don't want to take too much time, but you tell me your initial thoughts, whether you're excited, anything off the cuff that you feel like talking about.
We didn't already do this, did we?
I mean, we've kind of covered little games here and there, but I feel like at some point, we're going to be double dipping because we're learning more info. And again, there are no freaking other games or things to talk about. So.
Hey, you're exactly right, Adam.
That is right. So Godfall is officially a launch title for the PS5. It's also going to be on PC on November 12th. What are your thoughts? We've already kind of talked about Godfall, of course, but are you as hyped, more hyped? Is this falling kind of back now that Spider-Man's coming out and the Pathless and Demon Souls? Like, where does it rank, and what are your initial thoughts on Godfall?
Well, as we're hearing more about, Demon Souls is already top-notch. Godfall's not going to take that from me. But you mentioned things like Spider-Man and Pathless, these games that are coming out. And we're seeing a lot of stuff that's going to be on the PlayStation 4 as well. I don't think Godfall is going to be pushed to the PlayStation 4, which means it might be one of the few truly unhindered games. I mean, as much as I love Demon's Souls, it is a PlayStation 3 era designed game. So it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be great. I'm sure they're going to refine things, but the game mechanics are designed for PlayStation 3. This might be one of our first unrestrained next generation titles that we can focus on. So I'm excited about that. You know, Gearbox, they're decent publishers. They put out some good stuff. Counterplay, I think this is the people making the game. I don't know much about them. But they seem really excited about the combat of this game, the actual gameplay. They're not trying to wow us with the graphics, and the graphics are good. The fact that they're leaning into the gameplay and only showing gameplay footage makes me think that there's something there that they really think is special. It doesn't come across in video, but I'm hyped because these guys seem really excited about the gameplay, and it looks fun to me. So that's what I got going for. That's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, I still am a little concerned because the gameplay looks incredible, but it just seems really slow. I'm hoping that it's going to be a game where you get to pick a character and your fighting style, and I would rather be, okay, maybe my attacks aren't as strong, but it's a faster combat system. I would definitely choose that, but of all the characters that they're showing, I mean, it seems really slow, but it looks incredible. I wasn't as hyped, and then as we get closer, I'm getting more and more hyped for it. It's definitely going to be a day one for me. It has co-op, so probably that first day we can fall to the gods together.
I mean, the thing is that it looks like it's not going to be a 10 out of 10 game. Might be like one of those solid 8 out of 10 launch titles. It looks like a great launch title to carry us into the next generation. And I think that's what I'm excited about. I don't need the best game. I just need a really good game so I can really stretch my legs and enjoy this new generation.
All right, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
What do you feel about that?
So I never played the original Spider-Man, and I heard so many good things about it, and I always thought about dipping into it, and I'm glad I waited because I pre-ordered the ultimate version for the PlayStation 5 of Miles Morales. Is it Miles Morales or Manuel Morales? I think it's Miles Morales.
It's definitely Miles. That's an inside joke. You fell for it.
Yeah, I fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. Yeah. Spider-Man Miles Morales. Yeah, so now I can go back and play the original Spider-Man, get some of the enhancements for it being on the PlayStation 5. But again, like I said, it's going to be one of those games that's kind of restrained. And I'm wondering if Miles Morales is going to be. I
can't believe you're Manuel Morales.
I wonder if Spider-Man Miles Morales is going to be kind of constrained by some last-gen design as well. There was some interesting things that they are going back and really beautifying the graphics of the original game, so much so that they actually changed the face of the actor that they captured the motion from for Spider-Man. I guess they thought it fit the voice actor better. I don't know what's going on. Maybe they didn't have the rights for that actor for a new iteration of the game. But just the fact that they're looking into all that, they're applying this level of polish to it. It's Insomniac. It's going to be incredible. So yeah, I'm pumped about that. I'm really excited. I pre-ordered it, so I get all this fun stuff. And I have a feeling that I'm going to walk away, maybe that being my favorite game next to Demon's Souls, of course.
All right. I'm not that excited for it. I've already kind of talked. I don't really care about the plot or superheroes at all. If it were only combat, I could maybe get into it because it does look good. But with the plot and the whole superhero thing, can't do it. So we're about ready to talk in depth about Sackboy, A Big Adventure, and The Pathless. Those are launch titles. We'll just talk about them here in a second. Destruction All-Stars is a game that I found very interesting because I feel like the game could have some potential to it, but they have not shown us even a shred of gameplay yet. They even made a PlayStation blog this week about this game, and they filled in via text a little more information about the characters you can play as and their special abilities, but nothing really tells you about a game until you actually see it being played. They keep showing these cinematics, and I don't care about the cinematics. I want to see the gameplay. I don't understand why they're not showing us that, and honestly, it's really lowered my hype for this to the point where, honestly, they have given me no reason to even want to purchase this game.
Yeah, I want to be really excited about it. I don't know if I can be really excited about it because I just don't know much about it. It seems like they're trying to push this to be some kind of like their esports game, or maybe like PlayStation 5's answer to Rocket League, something like that. Cool. Maybe it's going to be great. It has some vibes of like Twisted Metal, but there's also on-foot portions. That'd be cool. It really just depends on how they pull it off. I forget who the developer is. Do you have any idea? Because that's kind of a make it or break it thing right there. If you have a really good developer we can trust behind it, then I have a bit more confidence in it. Lucid Games. I've never heard of them. Lucid Games. I'll have to do some research to figure out who they are. But yeah, I want to play it, but it's kind of up in the air if it's going to be excellent or not.
Yeah, like I said, I've already. But another one, obviously, everyone is looking forward to is Demon Souls. Is there really much else to even say about this?
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about it more. We can do it on another podcast. This is my top game, so there, yeah. Okay. It's Demon Souls. Excellent. Beautiful.
So Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I'm going to be honest, I pre-ordered this, but then the Pathless came out, and then Godfall, like both of those became official, and that was after I had already pre-ordered Assassin's Creed. I think I'm going to switch it. I think I'm going to get rid of Assassin's Creed because you can play it on the PS4. It's not really going to be new anymore. I'm afraid something's going to be ruined for me in the meantime, like if I'm scrolling through Twitter or something. I haven't played an Assassin's Creed game in a while, but the fact that the Pathless and Godfall are PS5 exclusive games intrigues me. Actually, I take that back. I think the Pathless is PS4 as well.
Yeah, it's PS4, yeah.
But those, there's something about it. I don't know. I'm sure it's going to be an incredible game, but I'm going to switch my pre-order and go with Godfall and the Pathless and Astro's Playroom, I think, for my 3 games.
Valhalla, it's coming out for the PS4. I'm just worried it's going to be a prettier PS4 game. You know, it's just going to PS4 but prettier. And something about Assassin's Creed, it always feels like it's playing catch up with the rest of the game design out there. You know, they came out with the first Assassin's Creed. It kind of felt like it was playing catch up with Prince of Persia. I think it was actually similar developer, so that's all right. Then they worked their way up. They kind of had a following, but then it seemed like they were trying to play catch up with like Breath of the Wild when they released Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And then now they're releasing this, and it's like they're trying to play catch up with God of War. I'm sure it's going to be fun. People are going to like it. It's kind of like a grown-up Zelda, but I'm not going to have the time to play that and all these other long-looking games, and I might just be better served waiting around for God of War Ragnarok to come out, or the sequel to what's it called, Horizon Zero Dawn, which might be a way more fun version of adult Zelda.
Dude. Yeah, that is a day one without a doubt.
Yeah. Sorry, Assassin's Creed. Maybe you're going to be amazing, but I just can't get pumped for you.
Yeah. One game that I'm kind of, to be honest, really looking forward to, it's one that everyone just dismisses, is Astro's Playroom. But the thing is, granted, everything I know about Astro is from PSVR, and I know obviously this is not going well. We don't know, actually. I'm going to assume right now that it is not going to be a VR playable game. But even if it's not, the gameplay and the level design and the creativity and the character was so good that I still think I'm going to really enjoy this. There's just something about the game that it's kind of challenging, but it's not overly difficult. You can kind of play it. It's just really fun. It's a good platformer. I'm thinking, Alex, that this might be the first platinum for the PS5 for me.
Maybe. Here's the thing. It's going to be free, which is always kind of like a warning sign for me, because it's like we don't have enough here to make money off of it. We just have enough here to make people feel okay purchasing the console, even if they don't have a game to go along with it. There might be enough to get a platinum trophy, but remember the Astro stuff, like the playroom that they had for PSVR? Yeah, it was fun. It was a good showpiece. It demonstrated the abilities, but it wasn't a full game, and we had to beg and plead, and they finally made a full game. I'm worried that this is going to be the former and not the latter. It's going to be a technical showpiece. Just kind of demonstrate some of the stuff, and then there's not going to be much there unless you want to go for the high score and finish the level a little bit faster or something like that. So I'm hyped because however long it is, it's going to be really fun while it lasts. But I feel like it's just not going to be substantial enough to be worth the excitement for.
Well, thanks a lot, Party Pooper. Next is Devil May Cry 5. It's a special edition. It's only digital. For me, this game looks like a whole lot of pretty combat, but the way you fight, where it was kind of almost that Tekken looking, I don't know. I'm not going to play this. I know some people love it, and it does look awesome. I'm sure it's going to be incredible in terms of the graphics and the way it plays and the smoothness of it, but just the combat system itself, I can't get on board with, so it's going to be a pass for me.
Yeah, I played the first Devil May Cry a whole lot. I loved it. It was kind of groundbreaking the way it did combat. And then other games kind of took the reins of that. You know, Ninja Gaiden came out, did that. God of War kind of did it to a degree. And I never really dabbled in the other Devil May Crys, but I hear Devil May Cry 5 is like the best one they made. And people are so excited about it. And there's 3 characters. And I feel like maybe the series has progressed, and I've just been kind of sitting around letting it get ahead of me. Hopefully I can catch up, because if it is the best one, I'd love to hop in now and really put my PlayStation 5 to work and enjoy some of the flashy, awesome, stylish combat that they have to offer. But I just don't know if I'm good enough at these games now.
Yeah, I don't know if you're good enough in general.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Fortnite, which I'm not even interested in remotely.
Of course it's a launch title. It's on everything except for iPhones, apparently. So yeah, of course it's a launch title. Who cares? Who cares?
Exactly. This game I did not know until today, and that is Observer System Redux. It is a horror game that it is an older game, so it's kind of like, I don't know if you'd want to call it remaster, what you'd want to call it, but it looks really good. And I'm like, I don't know how I didn't know about this before, and I'm down. I love horror games. I don't know too much about it, to be honest, but yeah, if I just love this type of games, and I'm all in if that is going to be available. And hopefully, it's not going to be $70, because a lot of these games are $70, and that adds up very quickly.
So this looks like one of those scary first-person games where you like have no ability to do combat and you're just trying to solve puzzles and stay alive. Anshar Studios, the people who made Detached, which I really enjoyed, they kind of worked on this a bit. The one thing, again, it looks like it's a last-gen game being constrained, and they're just kind of beautifying it a bit to make it a PS5 game. Whatever. If it's cheap because of that, I'm on board, and maybe I'll just need something to, give me the spooks and the heebie-jeebies. I can get excited about that. The more games, the better, of course. But, hey, I didn't know it was coming out either. That's fun to have another game on the docket.
So what would these games that are just kind of almost, I don't know what you want to call them, remasters or whatever. So Demon Souls, that one's $70. You already said you're buying that.
Yeah, that's more of like a remake, yeah. But,
okay, yeah, I don't know what the correct term is. Assassin's Creed, how much would you pay for that if you're only playing it on the PS5?
I think because if you buy the PlayStation 4 version, you get a free upgrade to the PS5 version, right? So just buy the PS4 version for $10 less. So I'd pay $50. Maybe. I'm not a huge fan of Assassin's Creed. If I look at how Assassin's Creed has gone in the future, that price is going to drop down to like $30 in like 2 weeks. So this is one of those games where it plummets in price very quickly because they sell a lot of copies across all the consoles. I see why this would be no different.
Yep, and when I pre-ordered it, it was $70. So there you go.
What are they doing?
I don't know. What am I doing?
What are you doing?
There were literally no games I wanted to play that they had available for pre-order, and I was like, well, I feel stupid buying the system and not have game, so I kind of felt pressured to buy one, and of the options, that was the best.
And then you're gonna buy Godfall, and Godfall's gonna come out free to play, like Playstradamus predicted.
Here you go. I bet it will be free to play for co-op, assuming you have PlayStation Plus and pay for it. Yeah.
Wait, so you mean like you have a copy and then I can play with you?
No. It was a joke. I mean, you're playing for PlayStation Plus. That's only going to be the only.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then, so this Observer System Redux, you don't know much about it. You know it's a remake of an older game. You talk like $30?
Tops, man.
Okay.
All I know is that the original version of this game came out on the Nintendo Switch. So there's a huge gap in processing power. So unless they've secretly had like the best graphics in the entire world hidden behind the curtains, I don't see what is going to make me super pumped to play this. Here's the one thing I'm discounting. All these games that are cross-generation, if they might make excellent use of the DualSense, and it might be totally worth playing it on the PlayStation 5 instead. I think I read a little bit that Spider-Man has some of that. Hey, I'm all aboard then. If you can really flex this DualSense that none of us has had a chance to use, then maybe it'll be worth that $10 extra to get it for this generation.
Yeah. Okay, final game that we know of as of now is Oddworld Soulstorm. I've already kind of talked about I'm not really interested. I can't really tell what the gameplay is about. It just looks really weird. The trailers are very odd in the fact that there is a very serious overtone, but then they put some like slapstick comedy in the trailer as well.
Violent slapstick, yeah. It
just seems really odd. I'm not interested in this. I think it's a puzzle game, and I'm not really into that either. So
it's like a gross version of Lemmings. I feel like the hardcore gamer in me feels like I have to have respect for Lauren Lanning because of his long running series and his long time in the gaming industry. But honestly, I don't know what there is to appreciate about this game. I never played the originals. The reviews for those were okay. They weren't ever like, oh, this is the game. It was always like, yeah, 8.5 out of 10, something like that. 8 out of 10. This is kind of fun. So I don't know what there is to get excited about this. Maybe it's absolutely gorgeous. Maybe it's the best game on the PlayStation 5. Who knows? But we don't know anything about it because they're barely showing us anything. They just tell us it's going to be so hilarious, and then you get like a trailer that looks like it's a documentary of the Holocaust or something like that.
Yeah, I don't understand. But, those are the games that we know are coming out. I want to go a little deeper into the Pathless, which I'm super hyped for. I've already talked about it. I'm kind of going to brush through this. We did a Master Debaters on maybe the second episode. And I kind of talked about everything that the Pathless has to offer. That still stands. And now that I know it's a launch title, it's definitely day one for me. And I think it's a game for you, Alex, that you are going to absolutely love because it looks like one of those relaxing, peaceful, search your inner soul type games, and it has like that China overtone or maybe Japan, I don't know.
Overtone.
And you like that kind of stuff. You're into that culture. Like it really just seems like your perfect game. And then I also want you to talk a little bit more about Sackboy and see if you can convince me maybe to be a little more interested in Sackboy than I currently am. So
yeah,
the Pathless. I don't know. So are you hyped at all for this game, Alex? Like where are you at? Like, is there any way this is a day one for you, or are there too much other good stuff that you're interested in?
It really depends on the price for this one. So the one thing that gets me most hyped about this is the developer, Giant Squid Studios. They made Abzu. They have a pedigree where they come from the people who made Journey and Flower and Flow, all really critically acclaimed games for the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4. Games that I loved, artistic masterpieces, and this is probably going to follow along in that vein. So yeah, everything about this points to something that I should really enjoy. But I'm always late to the party on those games. I don't really know why I wait so long to get on board with those games, but I just do. Maybe it's because I know it's going to be free within a year. And it's like, why? I'll just enjoy it when it comes out then. I waited about 6 years to play Journey. Had the full experience. It was great, but I waited. Maybe I'll be hungry for this kind of game. I don't know. You're right. It has that kind of like Eastern culture vibe to it. And that will get me excited. It looks visually exciting, but I don't know how that's going to jive really well. Maybe the music's going to be amazing. I don't know enough about it. Maybe I'll watch you stream it and then I'll get super pumped. But maybe you can explain to me what I'm missing, why I need to be more excited. You seem to think it's my kind of game, and I want to know why you think that.
Okay, so the thing about the Pathless that I find intriguing is the fact that it has everything that you would want in a game. So first of all, it's open world. So it's awesome that it's not linearly based. It's an adventure game. It's one of those, like, I forgot what that game was in VR where you have the Falcon. Is it Falcon's Age?
Falcon Age. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
well,
was
it looks like a really actual good version of that.
okay. I was about to say Falcon Age is pretty boring.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not going to be that. So you are gliding. The gameplay is very fast. You are speedily covering tons of ground, which makes me think that if this is open world, there must just be a huge world to discover. You're bouncing and gliding through these areas, shooting these talismans, and it's almost like a rhythm game almost, but it's just very fast, very dynamic. And that I think is exciting. I like fast games, especially with the processing power here. I want to see impressive graphics. I want to see smooth transitions. This is the type of game that I think that can show those. And while you shoot the talismans, it's kind of like an archery game, but it's more about timing, not skill, which I like as well. Like I'm not big into the games where you're Link and you have to shoot with your bow and arrow certain things in the air, and it's kind of about timing but also skill. Those to me get annoying if they're too difficult. This isn't like that. It's much more about your timing accuracy, and it allows you to focus on the environments and the moods and reflect on what's happening because you're not having to fully concentrate on shooting something in the air with perfect accuracy. So that I really like. I'm getting to the point where in games I'm really interested in the mood and the atmosphere they wow, F me. The atmosphere they create. And so, I mean, that to me is awesome. Are you more of like an action guy, or let's sit back and just soak up the atmosphere and kind of feel what the developers are trying to tell you?
Um, I consider myself a bit of both, but with the caveat that like I don't want both. You know, if you're going to be an action game, I want you to lean all the way in on the action and show me the action. If you're going to be an atmosphere mood game, lean into the atmosphere and mood, and don't try to present yourself as like, Here's the thing: Gears of War is a game that a lot of people loved. Tons of action, and then they waste so much of your time trying to think you're going to care about these big, burly, muscle-bound dudes with tiny heads getting emotional about like an alien invasion or something. I don't care. I want the action. So here's the thing. If they're going for atmosphere in here, lean into the atmosphere. Don't try to make me feel like a badass. Just make me feel like I'm going quickly and I'm enjoying the rhythm and the visuals and the atmosphere, and not so much just like beat them up. Cool. Look, I'm a fast, strong dude.
Yeah, and I think that's what I mean, just based on the gameplay and what the developers, they did an extensive discussion and interview about it. It really seems like that is what they're going for. Like even when you fight the bosses, the gameplay is kind of the same, and it just seems very. It seems like they're focusing on the atmosphere, the art style, the music. They're talking, and I got to listen to some of the music in the interview, and it seems wonderful. It varies between different parts of the game. So when you're just traversing the land, it's kind of light and allows you just to discover and look around. But then once you start fighting the bosses and the evil spirits, it's more upbeat, it's uptight. You can actually almost feel the danger rising in it. And I think that is definitely a mark of fantastic music and a great soundtrack. And then
Oh, this is that game that was like a colorful version of Shadow of the Colossus. That's why I was interested in this game. Yeah, yeah.
I didn't see it like that, but sure, if that gets you excited. I feel like Shadow of the Colossus was more, I don't know. It didn't look as unique. It looked like, oh, there's another adventure game, but this looks different to me. It's more color to it. I don't think, I could, of course, be wrong, but I don't think each boss is going to be the most annoying thing I've ever faced in my life with stupid puzzles. And
You'll be a bit less. You'll be a bit less helpless probably. You're supposed to be kind of helpless in Shadow of the Colossus. So yeah.
yeah, F that. And the game that has variety. They're talking about, so there's some puzzles involved. There's secrets. It's of course open world, so you can do anything in any order and investigate at your own will. It's kind of about your journey to find the end, and that I think is exciting. If you are going to focus on one type of gameplay, you need to do it really well. But I kind of like it when there's variety, because even if you do it well, like even with like Final Fantasy VII Remake, that game is, the combat is about as perfect as you can get it. But even at that, it started to get stale after hours of it, you know. But if you can break it up and you do different things, that kind of opens up the ability to enjoy the game more and someone want to play it for a long, long time. So the basic plot is that there's some type of darkness. It separates you and from the world. It's eating up the world. You will need to save it. You got your little eagle, which I think you'll like the eagle. I think that's cool. You can like fly with him. He's your little buddy. That's where it kind of reminds me of Falcon Age, but a good version. Like in this, I really doubt you have to do side quests. What did you have to collect? Like Falcon talons or something and give them
to... So in Falcon Age, they made an entire game out of something that is not entire game worthy. It looks like the Falcon is like a side element, like an accessory, and you can't make a whole game out of an accessory. So if they treat it like an accessory and he just kind of does some fun little things for me, that's fine. If they make me if they make the Falcon the whole game, then that's going to be kind of troublesome because the whole point is that I'm supposed to be moving fluidly and quickly and having a good time.
Yeah. And the final thing about the Pathless, I think that the fact that there are stealth aspects of the gameplay too. So you're fighting, the bosses are like these evil spirits. So you kind of have to use stealth to avoid detection by them. You got to chase them down. And that kind of reminds me of the Shadow of the Colossus. You got to find the best way, kind of be stealthy, get in there. But just the fact that this game has self-reflection, it's got shooting, it actually has a plot, there are boss fights, there's stealth. It's pretty much got it all, in my opinion, and that's why, without a doubt, this is going to be a day one purchase for me. That's pretty much everything we know about the game itself. If you're even remotely interested, I strongly encourage you. There is a lengthy interview with the developer, or at least one of them, and then there's also gameplay examples. So go watch some of the gameplay. I really think that you're going to be impressed, and it's probably going to sway you into leaning towards purchasing it, at least at some point. I mean, obviously, how long is Demon's Souls? If you play it start to finish, I mean, we talking 30, 40 hours?
Are you talking about how long I played it before I finally beat it?
No, like I buy it day one. How long, how many hours am I going to have to put in to beat it?
To beat it?
Yeah.
40, 50, 60, 70. It just depends. It really depends. I put 200 hours into it. I probably put more time into that than I put into any other game, and I'm ready to do it all over again.
Jeez. Okay, so then when you have games like that, I think Spider-Man's probably going to be pretty lengthy. Like some of the launch titles are going to be longer games. So this may not be a day one, but I feel like at some point after you play those longer games, this is going to be something that definitely should be on your radar. Okay, I'm ready to listen about Sackboy because there's something, I don't know if it's because his name is Sackboy and I find that hilarious, or I'm not sure what it is, but I'm somewhat interested, but then I watch the gameplay and I'm not pumped for it. Try to convince me. Tell me what you know about Sackboy.
So, I mean, I'm going to try to convince you. I'm mostly trying to convince myself, too, because here's the deal. Sony, they have kind of these pseudo-mascots, and we like Astro, and Astro's kind of a good Sony mascot, platformer mascot. But for some reason, that hasn't quite taken. Sony doesn't want to embrace that. Sackboy is the closest thing that Sony has to, like, a Mario-like character, somebody that can transcend multiple genres. They had him in Little Big Planet, and then they made, like, Mod Nation Racers, which I think he was a racing, like a kart racer. So he was in that as well.
I do have one quick question. What is Little Big Planet? Because I have no idea. I know that's where he's from, but what is it?
Yeah, so it was a game that came out on the PlayStation 3 initially, and it's a platformer game, like a side-scrolling platformer, but the whole hook was that you could make your own levels, you could create your own game in this game. So kind of like a more elementary version of Dreams. If you know how Dreams works, you can make stuff and share it. Well, this, you can make levels and share it. And then people really expanded upon that and just made completely different games. I think somebody recreated part of Doom with Little Big Planet. So they had like a game engine that you could really build upon. But they had Sackboy, and he was kind of like this blank slate character that you could play as and go through these side-scrolling levels. And it was cute because you could move his head around and move him around and have him do emotes and stuff like that, and you could kind of dress him up and get accessories. It's kind of cute, kind of fun, and he's a bit charming. And so they made Little Big Planet 2, Little Big Planet 3, and I'm pretty sure he's in Mod Nation Racers. I might be wrong. So he's kind of been this recurring character in a lot of these Sony games that have been coming out. So I want to get excited about Sackboy. I want Sackboy to be successful because I would like Sony to have this kind of flagship character that they can put into like a kart racing game or a sports game or something like that, and that we would actually care about it. Really get like a pseudo Mario, but on the Sony side. However, I have a primary concern, and that is that Sackboy, they were Media Molecule's baby. Those are the ones who made Little Big Planet 1, and I believe they made Little Big Planet 2. And then Sumo Digital took over the franchise, and they made Little Big Planet 3, which came out on the PlayStation 4. And it was okay. It had some good single-player elements and some good levels and creative level design and stuff, but then a lot of fans of Little Big Planet kind of got let down. The game was kind of technically a mess in some of the co-op and the creative stuff. And so this developer came in, picked up Sackboy, and they kind of, I don't want to say they ran the franchise into the ground, but they ran the franchise into the ground. That kind of made me nervous. So I investigated Sumo Interactive. I've heard that name. Where have I seen them before? I went digging on Wikipedia. Some other games that they made. They bought a bunch of developers, which is kind of interesting. They bought Chinese Room, who made Edith Finch, but they also made, what was that other game that I didn't like that you liked?
Game? Baby. Everyone Gone to the Rapture?
Everyone's Gone to the Rapture, yeah. So they have some talented people on their team, obviously. They made Sonic Racing Transformed, which is apparently like the best kart racer if you're not looking at Mario Kart. Cool. They have their wits about them for that kind of stuff. They made Forza Horizon 2, an Xbox exclusive racing game that is absolutely wonderful. They made Crackdown 3, which was like in development hell for so long. It finally released, and against all odds, people really liked it for some reason. I think it was kind of iffy, but something about it just clicked, and people enjoyed it. And now they're back trying their hand with Sony again, and they're not trying to make Little Big Planet, but they're taking Sackboy, and they're making a game with Sackboy. So I'm cautiously excited about this fact because of what I mentioned above. Little Big Planet 3 was a game that was good single player, but the creative cooperative stuff, the game-making stuff in Little Big Planet 3 was glitchy and kind of a technical mess. So what if you remove the stuff that they were bad at, this making games, this game engine stuff, and then instead filled that space with the stuff they were good at, the single player, the creative, beautiful environments and single-player gameplay. And that's what I think Sackboy, A Big Adventure, is going to be. I think it's going to be the best elements of Little Big Planet 3, and it's going to be fully fleshed out. So, I enjoyed what I played of Little Big Planet single player. I'm not creative enough to enjoy the creative stuff. So every time I played it, I always thought, man, if this is just a full game, I'd probably enjoy that a lot more. On top of that, watching the footage, this is like a third-person pseudo-isometric platforming game. I don't think they're going for a huge wow factor in terms of graphics, but it looks like the kind of gameplay that you would get from Astrobot, it's just not in VR. It reminds me of Mario 3D World and Mario 3D Land on the 3DS and the Wii U, games that were very well received and very enjoyable and wonderful platformers and wonderful co-op. They had variety and movement, and watching the trailers and the developer interviews, they have really lay into the fact that we tried to have a lot of movement, a lot of different gameplay elements with Sackboy here. So obviously these developers are able to make lush designs of levels and creative levels, exciting levels, things that you haven't seen before and that are charming. And this is a game where they can just do a lot of that and hopefully we'll enjoy it. They obviously have mechanics down solidly in terms of game engines. I mean, all these racing games, technically great. Crackdown 3 had a really good engine. It was just other stuff was left to be desired. Everything adds up to something I'd really enjoy. And then the one thing remaining is why am I going to keep playing this game? It's a game that's focused on co-op platforming action. I love it. Great. Fantastic. Give me 10 hours with it, and then I'm done. I never went back to Mario 3D Land, never went back to Mario 3D World. So what are they going to do to make this feel like it's worth the money? I don't want to just play the same levels in co-op with randos on the internet. I might play with my daughter if she's big enough to figure out how to use a PlayStation controller by then. Maybe it'll use the DualSense. That would be something interesting. But that's my last remaining question. I think it'll be a good game. Just, is it going to be worth it? I need a lot of levels. I need a lot of reasons to come back for multiplayer. And the one thing I can think of, hey, maybe they'll have cool characters you can unlock. Maybe I can play through the game, and then I unlock the next character that has slightly different abilities. They can fly, or they can double jump, or they are fast, or just something like that makes me approach levels in a different way. So really the big thing, this game needs to be in VR, and it's not in VR, at least as far as we know. This game looks like it needs to be in VR so badly, and it's not. I don't know what's going on there. But I can get myself hyped about it. I can talk myself into it. Adam, what do you need to get excited about this game?
So I think with us playing Astrobot and PSVR, that opened my eyes to games like this that would be suitable for VR. Typically, I would even say in VR, this looks like a kid's game. I don't want to play it. But after playing Astrobot, I feel like games like this could be exceptional in VR. So that's one thing. If it were, it would be day one purchase. I have a feeling it's probably not going to be it. But like I said, Astrobot was so good that if there was a game that was even in 2D, I would still play that. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, if I would play Astrobot, but I'm not interested in this, what's the difference? Because they look very similar. It's just different characters. The worlds look similar. The type of just cute level design looks similar. The enemies look similar. It looks very close to the same game, graphically and just what they're trying to achieve with it. But I don't know if it's the Astrobot is like a cuter character, and I like that he's a little robot. I don't know if I don't know if I want to say nostalgia or connection I have because I like the PSVR so much, and he was my introduction to that. But I don't know what would need to happen. I guess unless it were in VR, it just doesn't look like a game that I want to play. Like, my time is precious, and for you, are you going to want to put down Demon Souls to play this? Probably
I can't play
not.
Demon Souls. I can't play Demon Souls with my kids. Here, Adam, here's what's going to get you hyped about it. Imagine, close your eyes and think about this. You're at the club. You're getting your thing on. You're dancing. Suddenly, some beautiful lady brushes up against you, and you start chatting. You have a repartee. You get to talking, and she says, "Hey, I recognize that voice. You're from the PlayPS5, the podcast, and I hear back home you have the biggest console that has ever been released. Can you show me that thing?" You're going to take her back to your house. You're going to invite her in for the biggest console she's ever seen, and you're going to sit down in front of that couch, and she's not going to want to watch you play Demon Souls. She's not going to know how Godfall works. She's not going to care about the Pathless, but you're going to give her those 5 senses, if you know what I mean. Put them in her hands, and you and her are going to play co-op Sackboy eventually. You're going to get that girl home to play with your Sackboy, and it's going to be fun because it's going to be simple, it's going to be charming, and it's going to be engaging. And that's exactly what this game is going to be. If I want to get my wife interested in playing PlayStation 5 with me so I can play it during the day without feeling guilty, if I want to get my kids to play PlayStation 5 with me so I can play it during the day without feeling guilty, then this is the game that's going to be it. I can put the controller in somebody else's hand and say, hey, this is the new console. This is that new video game that I spent your college fund on. Let's see how this goes. And we have a chance of something fun there. So I should probably just purchase it for that fact alone, and then my daughter will get bored of it because it's not Kirby. But there's a chance there. So yeah, that gets me hyped. I'm just you in the future. You're going to find some woman. You're going to bring her home to play with your Sackboy, and then you're going to start your own little PlayStation 5 family, and you'll be living my life.
We'll see. But in the meantime, I got a few comments about the launch titles that people from Twitter have given us. First off, we got our boy, that guy's Will VR. He is at PSVR Review on Twitter. He said that he was hyped for both Sackboy and the Pathless because they're going to be a nice break from games like Demon Souls that are essentially going to break our souls and our willpower because apparently in those games you die over and over. And I agree with him. I really think these two games are going to be fun. They're going to be more about the adventure or the aesthetics, not so much a difficult grind out type of combat. And I think those definitely have a market within a system like this, whether you're playing with your daughter or, you just want to take a break from Godfall and the freaking slow combat and just slaughtering thousands of hopeless enemies to play a little Sackboy. You got to play with your Sackboy every now and then. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's how it is. We also got Andrew of Team Striker It was at TS Comic, and he said that he was excited for Sackboy, kind of going along with what you were saying here, Alex, because not only is it going to be a great game, but then his girlfriend will be able to play with him, and she loved Little Big Planet 3. So I didn't think about that. I mean, I don't know any friends of mine who would come over and I'd be like, you know what? We should play Sackboy. Like, I can't imagine it, but you're right. It would be a pick up and play type of game.
It's going to be the game that you show people. Nobody's going to want to watch you on hour 35 of an RPG when they see the PlayStation 5. Nobody enjoys that, you know? They might enjoy jumping in on Sackboy.
Could be. Our final was K27. It's at Korahn. I don't even know if that makes up a word. I don't know if that's a name. I don't know what it is. He, again, assuming it's a he, said that he's not actually missing out on anything by waiting to get a PS5 after he's seeing the launch title lineup in general. So that, I think, is interesting in that I will admit, until the Godfall and Pathless news came out, I was kind of lukewarm. I was like, yeah, I'll play some of those, but am I hyped? I know Demon's Souls looks incredible, but I know it's going to be too difficult and I'm going to hate it. I don't care about Spider-Man, wasn't interested in Sackboy. Destruction All-Stars doesn't show anything. Assassin's Creed's a PS4 game. Astro's Playroom's too small to just simply buy it for that. I don't care about Devil May Cry. Fortnite can go F a pig. I didn't know about Observer System Redux and Oddworld Source-Storm. I would rather play with your Sackboy than play that. So I could see where he's coming from. Is there any chance, last question before we go into the break, any chance we get more games, or do you think this is going to be pretty much the lineup for launch?
So there's so many games coming out for the PlayStation 4 that are cross-gen with PlayStation 5. The big one of the biggest games of the year, is going to be the biggest PlayStation 5 game and biggest PlayStation 4 game, Cyberpunk 2077. That's going to have enhancements for PlayStation 5. So that might be the best PlayStation 5 game all year. Who knows? So if we're going to have surprises on that front. There's going to still be games coming out for PS4 that can be played on the PlayStation 5, and they might be fantastic. All this, developers are familiar with the technology, so it might look great regardless. But in terms of explicitly PlayStation 5 games, I mean, we keep digging up others, so I'm sure there might be one or two nuggets that are going to be like digital only or something like that we should get into. But I think we kind of have a good view of the landscape looking at launch times.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to go into the break. We're going to come back and talk about the news that Xbox has purchased Bethesda. What does that mean? What did we as Sony or PlayStation exclusive fans lose? And should Sony be worried? Should they make some type of move because of that? Stick with us. We'll see you on the other side of the break. All right, folks, big news. You are now 47 minutes closer to Halloween than you were when this podcast started. Congratulations. We're almost there. Alex, I want to talk about the big news that Xbox and Microsoft has purchased Bethesda. And at first, I didn't really know what to think. So I want to get your opinion on what that means, how big of a deal that is, and more importantly for us who have already pre-ordered our PlayStations and at least I am not going to get an Xbox. Does that make Sony scared? Should they do anything because of that purchase? So first off, what do you think the purchase of Bethesda means? At what level in terms of the gaming landscape, and what importance is this?
So the reason we're talking about this is because it's obviously very important. This is a PlayStation 5 podcast, and we're talking about an Xbox acquisition. That seems weird right there. But this is a big acquisition because when you looked in the past, when you looked at E3 and who would have a conference, you would have, Nintendo would have a conference, Sony would have a conference, and Microsoft would have a conference, the big console players there. And then EA would have a conference, one of the biggest publishers, and Ubisoft, the other big publisher, and Bethesda would have a conference. And those would be like the big six people giving conferences. Now, one of the big six has just purchased one of the other big six publishers, which is pretty big. That's big news. And it has a serious effect on the next generation of gaming. So we've known all along Microsoft's strategy has been games. They've been hammering away. They've been buying game studios left and right. They bought the people who made, Fallout, New Vegas, Obsidian Entertainment. They're kind of a wonderful team that everybody was excited about. And they just bought developers left and right for a while. They were purchasing them. And we thought they were done, even though they said they weren't done. We surely thought that they weren't going to do something this big. It was a multi-billion-dollar purchase. I don't remember exactly how much, but it was some absurd number to buy Bethesda. Now, many people know Bethesda from many different games. Some people know them as the people who made Skyrim. So goodbye Skyrim VR on the PlayStation 5. Some people know them as the people who make Doom. These are the publishers of Doom. So now, Bethesda owns id Software. So all the Doom and Quake and Wolfenstein games, that's now owned by Microsoft. It's a Microsoft game now. That's exclusive, which sucks because I loved Doom. Doom is excellent, and we can play it on the PlayStation 4, but we're not going to see it on the PlayStation 5 apparently, unless they're really generous with their IPs, and I doubt they are. Then you also have, lesser-known games, but equally revered games like Dishonored, games like Prey, these Arcane Studio games, which they're kind of like a developer that came up and everyone's super pumped about everything they do. Well, guess what? If you're pumped about what Arcane Studio is going to do next, maybe a sequel to Prey, maybe another Dishonored, it's probably going to be on the Xbox or on the PC, and it's not going to be on the PlayStation 5, which is unfortunate. And then, one of the big ones is Fallout. I love Fallout. They kind of went astray with Fallout 76 and people got mad at them about it. But I would love to see what the next Fallout's going to be. And now if I want to see that, I got to see it on the Xbox. I'm not going to see it on the PlayStation 5, which is disheartening. And we're not even going to get into the next Elder Scrolls game coming out because we're not going to see it on PS5. We're not going to get into Starfield, which we've seen nothing of, which is good now because I'm not going to get to play it. So who cares? But the fact of the matter is Bethesda is a huge game publisher. They have some of the most talented development studios, and now Microsoft owns them. So regardless of how you feel about the next generation, Sony's just been dealt a pretty big blow because we know if we're looking at the next Doom, we're looking at the next Elder Scrolls, we're looking at the next Dishonored or Prey or whatever that's going to be in the next Quake. None of those are going to come on the PlayStation. Those are huge games that we're not going to see on PlayStation anymore, which is unfortunate because I love all of those series. Fortunately, they are beholden to their prior agreements. They are still going to release Deathloop, which is a Bethesda property, and it's a game that I'm really excited about. That's still going to be released on the PlayStation 5, and if history is any indicator, they're going to support it as best they can because, what was it? Microsoft purchased a studio who made A Mage's Tale, I believe. And I thought they were going to drop that dead the second they published it. But they still offered support for it. It wasn't the best game, but they still updated it and made it better and better as they saw fit because, of course, they want the money there. Maybe Microsoft is more into games than they are consoles, and so we'll still see some of these released. But I really just think this is a huge feather in the cap of Microsoft, and it's kind of disheartening for Sony. Adam, are you going to miss out on any of these games? I think you enjoyed these games. Are there anything that you're sad to say bye to?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think a few thoughts of mine was first, it's funny that you say like Xbox is all about the games because although I've never owned an Xbox, what I see people arguing, and I think honestly what I would have to agree with, is when I look at the games offered that you could play on Xbox, I don't want to play any of them.
Right.
They're all like generic games that you could play on any console. So I'm like, yeah, why in the world would you ever buy an Xbox? So at least now there's some games that if you want to continue playing Doom, okay, now you have to, assuming they don't pay or make Sony or Nintendo pay a fee to allow to play on their consoles, yeah, you have to have an Xbox. Actually, I think it's a smart acquisition because these are some of the well-known series. And honestly, without these, I don't know why I have no idea why people have an Xbox. I really don't. Halo, That's like literally the only thing I could think of why you would own an Xbox. So that I think it's a smart business move. Me personally, and I've read other things on Reddit and people on Twitter. Of course, it's kind of hard to kind of go through whether people are just being defensive because these console war things or if they really mean it. But I've kind of gotten the fact that some of these games have kind of tailed off and they aren't what they used to be. Like Doom is a big name, but a lot of the recent games have been like, like they haven't been as great as what we know the series to be. Obviously, I love Doom for PSVR. Wolfenstein ended up being like a cool game on PSVR, but I've played none of these games. I'm not really that interested. I played Skyrim in VR. That was cool. I don't want to play it again. I don't care if they come out with another game. So for me personally, I don't really care. At first, I was like, oh, dang, like, because you hear Bethesda. But then when I saw what that actually entailed, for me personally, I don't really care that much. Like Doom seems like it's washed up. Wolfenstein never got into it. Elder Scrolls could care less. I've never played Fallout. I don't even know what Dishonored or Prey is. We're gonna get Deathloop, and I don't know what Quake is. So for me personally, I don't really care. Seems like you're a little more maybe shaken up just because you know what some of these are. But
Well, one thing, and this is more VR related, was that Bethesda was a big proponent of VR. Skyrim VR. They made Fallout VR for PC. They made a VR variant of Prey. They worked on getting Quake in VR. They did Wolfenstein in VR and Doom in VR. They were supporting the VR ecosystem handily. And some of it seemed kind of half-assed, I'll admit. But they were still putting out new games in VR, and I was really excited to see, maybe if Sony had thrown some extra money their way, they would have fleshed out Doom VFR. They would have made a full game of Wolfenstein in VR instead of these kind of like short experiences, which fine, I get it. It's still fun. And so maybe the PlayStation 5, they would have had more flexibility to make something really significant. But now that's going down the drain. Microsoft really seems to not care about VR. So we have a huge VR supporter moving over, being purchased by a company that seems to not care about VR. Now, maybe Microsoft has VR in their back pocket for the next Xbox, but we haven't heard anything about it, and they don't really seem that interested in it. So that's another reason I'm disappointed in this. But then I guess the next question is, how does Sony retaliate? Do they need to retaliate? And what do they have in comparison? And I'll let you theorize first because I have my own ideas, Adam. Is there something Sony could do? Is there something Sony needs to do? Should they be worried about this? What do you think?
yeah, there's some. I mean, Bethesda's obviously is huge. I don't know too much about developers, publishers, things of that nature, and obviously I knew them very well. Like they're just huge, and so that is a big acquisition. So to think of who would Sony purchase that would be as big of a deal, and I personally I don't really know. I also am not sure if it's a smart move to do a knee-jerk reaction and start buying places, because surely now Microsoft cannot afford anyone else. Multi-billion dollar.
They said they're not done, and Microsoft is like Bill Gates, like the richest man, one of the richest men alive. That Microsoft is a healthy company money-wise. So they say they're not done. There's rumors that they might buy Sega, which I don't have much invested in Sega, but a lot of people do with the Yakuza series and things like that. So they say they're not done, but what's a game what's a game you really enjoyed that you think Sony might scoop up and make exclusive? Do you have anything in mind?
Sony. You should have given me a heads up because I can't think on this spot.
So here's what I'm thinking. So if Sony wanted to retaliate by purchasing an equally big studio, how would you feel if Sony purchased Square Enix?
Oh, well, as long as I get my Kingdom Hearts, so yeah, let's boogie.
I think that would be something equivalent. I mean, PlayStation, we already said that Final Fantasy 16 is going to be console exclusive to the PlayStation 5. So that's a big win right there. We don't know if it's going to be timed. A lot of times these things are timed. What if they purchased Capcom? How would you feel about that?
Definitely more of a Square Enix has everything. The Final Fantasy series is enough. People would buy PS5. They would buy any system to play Final Fantasy.
Well, the thing about Capcom is that they have
Capcom has Mega Man.
Resident Evil.
They've got Resident Evil. That's clutch.
They got Monster Hunter, which you probably don't care about, but
I played like the very first one, and I just got crushed.
they
I
got
didn't
Devil May
understand
Cry.
the game mechanics, and I could care less about that.
Yeah, a lot of big games.
But they've got
Capcom,
some big ones. Yeah, okay.
yeah, Capcom would be a big acquisition. It would also be a Japanese company buying another Japanese company. I don't know how that would work politically over there, if they would be allowed to do that, or if it's kind of becomes too much. Yeah, I think Capcom would be a bit smaller than Square Enix. Square Enix would probably be an equivalent purchase. But Sony has already made a pretty big purchase. They did purchase Insomniac, which is one of the best game development studios out there. They're the ones, Adam, you might not know, they're the ones making Spider-Man. They're the ones making Ratchet and Clank. They made Resistance for the PlayStation 3 era. Basically, any game that they really put their weight behind comes out being fantastic in some degree or another. So, I mean, they made Spider-Man and it sold bajillions, and this next is going to sell bajillions. So I think we at least have that. We know we're probably going to get one excellent game from Insomniac every 2 years, maybe, hopefully. I don't know if that competes with a Doom, a Wolfenstein, an Elder Scrolls, a Fallout, and a Quake, every year, every other year. But that's there. My guess is that Sony's not going to buy any studios, but that they're just going to drop money to get these timed exclusives, because I think that's really worked out well for them. Resident Evil 7, the VR exclusive, that was a timed VR exclusive, and then it just turned into an exclusive because they never made it VR for the PC. So Sony knows what they're doing with that. No Man's Sky was probably a success for them. Death Stranding, another success. They're not buying these studios. They just have an excellent relationship with these developers, and they're leveraging that. So I don't think Sony needs to be worried. I think Microsoft has a horrible foothold in Japan. Sony has a great foothold in Japan and America. So I think that's also helping Sony out a lot. A lot of Japanese developers are going to lean on Sony and not really care much about Microsoft. Adam, do you have any idea like what the numbers are for sales and consoles in Japan, what they look like?
Of course not.
It's so just to give you a frame of reference, I think last quarter they sold, I don't know, like 50,000 or 100,000 PlayStation 4s, and they sold, I think, something like 101 Xboxes.
Nice.
So, I mean, that's just to give you an example of what they're dealing with. So, with this purchase, it seems like Microsoft has really leaned heavily on another Western developer. Their weak area in Japan isn't really getting shored up. Now, what are you going to do if Microsoft's next big purchase that they claim they have in their pocket is Square Enix?
Then we're boned.
Then you're boned. I mean, I'll be happy. No more Kingdom Hearts coming my way, but
yeah.
Yeah.
So is this also, I mean, this affects Nintendo, I'm assuming, as well. So who's a bigger deal for, you think, Sony or Nintendo?
So Microsoft and Nintendo have a pretty good relationship. Microsoft has that, cute game, Ori, the Will of the Wisps. It was a Microsoft Game Studios game, and they released it on the Switch. I don't think Microsoft views Nintendo as a threat, and so they're happy to play along with them. They've been happy to play along with them for a long time. Even in the Game Boy Advance days, Microsoft bought Rare, and then Rare made Game Boy games, which just seemed weird, but it happened. So I think it's a bigger blow to Sony than it is to Nintendo, because Nintendo and Microsoft seem to be kind of like buddy or kissing cousins or something. I don't know. So I don't think Nintendo's really worried about that. Nintendo's making a stupid amount of money with a last generation console.
Yeah, it blows my mind how that works. But I guess, I mean, what Nintendo does well is they cater to everybody. They cater to the young kids. They cater to people off nostalgia, like people our age. So they do a great job. I feel like Sony doesn't do that for, whatever reason. I'm glad they don't, because
hey, we got Sackboy. We got Sackboy. It's over.
Okay. F you, Mario. You can suck our Sackboy.
Mario who?
That is good stuff. Yeah, well, I'll be interested. I mean, I don't know. I doubt there's a timetable for if Sony is going to do anything about this. And maybe, like you said, they just roll with it. I mean, I really will be interested to see if Xbox, how they sell in comparison to PS5s. It's hard to tell just on people's reaction. We're obviously Sony based, so I'm like, oh, well, the Sony pre-orders were way a bigger deal, but maybe we're just talking to more Sony insiders, so it's not a fair comparison. But I think the final numbers will be interesting, especially now that people know this Bethesda thing. That should sway people if they were on the fence towards Microsoft. So I don't know. We'll see. It definitely will be interesting. I would hate for Sony to become the new Microsoft, and in 3 years we have our PS5s and be like, oh, I don't want to play anything. These games suck.
That's the way these cycles go, man. 360 won, and then PS4 won, and then now if history repeats itself, Microsoft's going to have a winner on their hands, and they're positioning themselves to have quite the system. But I think PlayStation 5 is positioned to do very well in its own right. But with that being said, I think it's time to close this up, Adam. I want to thank the listeners for listening to this episode of Play PS5, the podcast. Hit us up on Twitter. We are at, what is it, Adam? Play PS5 Pod? Play PS5 the Pod? Play PS5 Pod. At Play PS5 Pod. You can also see us on YouTube. Like and subscribe. If you're listening to us on a podcast and you want to see what our beautiful faces look like, go ahead and find us on YouTube. I posted a video, too, what to expect when you're expecting. So go watch that and see what it's like to expect a console coming to your house. If you want to get a hold of us, contact us. You can hit us up on Twitter, but you can email us to contact@playps5podcast.com. Get in touch with us. You can also listen to us on Spotify. I want to see those numbers go up because I feel like that's the pathway to money. I don't know. Anyways, reach out to us. Let us know. We got questions. We need your answers. How am I going to get your auntie over to my house to play Sackboy? Where do I need to meet her? How am I going to bump into her? I want to begin this big adventure with her. So make that happen. Get in our inbox and let us know what's going on. And really, honestly, guys, stop playing with yourself. Play PS5.